Okay, so welcome back. And today I want to talk to you about why you need to understand subjectivity. Subjectivity is basically the formless reality that you are. Now, as long as you're identified with your body or as your body, this can be kind of a hidden thing in your experience. I'm not just telling you that you're formless and that you should believe that. There's a whole unfoldment process that I'm trying to help you understand is possible for you to meet. Now, through the ages, there have been people that have come to this realization, and that's why the scriptures exist. That's why these ancient holy books exist, because the people have realized it. They've met their spiritual reality beyond their physical existence. So there's different ways that this can unfold, different paths that lead to this realization. But ultimately, it's not about the specific path that's taken to realize your spiritual nature. It's about the meeting place. It's about actually exploring the reality of your spiritual nature. Okay, so when you hear the word spirit, it's synonymous with subjectivity. And subjectivity can actually go deeper than the middle ground where the spirit thrives and lives in its dynamic state. So it's even more important to understand that subjectivity has great depth to it, okay? And it's not something that you get. If you can perceive it, there's got to be some distance between the object and you, the subject. So there's a difference between subjectivity, who you are in spirit, and a projection of subjectivity which might exist in the future. And one example of that in this particular context could look something like, okay, well, I'm going to discover my spiritual nature hopefully in 5 minutes from now. Well, that's a projection. Subjectivity is who you are in your essential nature. It's who you are without your belief system brought in for support. It's who you are without your credentials brought in for verification of your self-held identity. Okay, all of those movements in the mind can also be watched from your subjective nature. So subjectivity is not just a word, it's really a word that's pointing to this reality that is to be explored if you're going to journey consciously on the spiritual path. Now you might say, well, I belong to this particular tradition, or I can't go against what my family has told me. Well, good. That has nothing to do with this at all. It's not about your belief system. It's not about comparing and weighing beliefs. This is simply about exploring your individual reality. And the exploring part is really what's taking place instead of the weighing and analyzing and comparing using your mind. The more you try to rely upon your mind when you're thinking about the spiritual path and you're trying to search for the reality and explore the reality of the spiritual path, the more you're going to find that the mind isn't going to produce it. So it doesn't matter. Either way, you're going to find out that the mind isn't going to give you the answer. So you can use it as much as you want to try to find it. It's not going to produce it. I recommend that you take the shortcut and actually realize through your direct experience that what's looking at your mind is who you are. You can notice your thoughts, okay? You can notice your body. You're the one that's there behind all the movement, perceiving it. You wake up in the morning and suddenly you realize you have a body, and then the body, you start to maybe rub your eyes and maybe you yawn, and you're coming in tune with the functions of your body. You start to rustle out of bed. But before those movements start happening, that's already a lot of movement that's happening beyond your inner stillness. Okay, and that inner stillness is really kind of the clue to how to explore your subjectivity. You're not exploring through movement, you're exploring through relaxation. And that's key. So that's what subjectivity is in a nutshell. Now, for a lot of you watching this video, this is going to be difficult to understand at first, but don't panic, okay? Remember that the understanding of your spiritual path doesn't come through the intellect. It doesn't come through knowledge. It comes through a direct meeting, okay? So when you're exploring your spiritual path, try to remember that the context is always the present moment. You can't explore your future self because your future self isn't happening where your exploration is happening. Now, there may be a few select individuals on this planet who might be able to refute this through some special ability, okay? I'm not talking about psychic powers or being able to tell the future. I'm just talking about a simple exploration for the ordinary individual. And you have to come to the present moment in order to begin this search. Now, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by come to the present moment? I mean that you have to let go of what's in your mind and your attachment to your mind for just a little while. You have to let go of your cherishing of your future that's going to be better than what's happening. You have to let go of your attachment to your past that you think you need to fix. And cutting out the past and the future, these two things are really kind of what cloud your view. It's like you're looking through a lens and there are all these clouds passing by, and those are your thoughts. So the more you come to the present moment and you're paying attention to what's in the present moment without adding anything to it, that helps you to tune into that space between thought, to the happening reality. It's a different mode of consciousness, if you will. It's more awake. And traditionally, this is called the observer. And the observer is kind of like your first layer of subjectivity into spiritual awakening. Okay? And we'll go deeper into that later on in some more videos. But for now, I just want you to understand that subjectivity is a word that you should be familiar with. You should understand exactly what it's talking about. And it's really more important that you try to explore it and meet it for yourself, as yourself. So again, if you haven't gone to the Patreon page, please go by there, check it out. Like, share, comment on this video. If you have any questions about anything, please go over to the Patreon page and share them there. And I'll look forward to checking it out and sharing more with you in the next video. Blessings.